is a very particular kind of silence that follows a lie. It's not just the absence of sound, it's a living, breathing void. It's the sound of a space you have created, a vacuum you've opened up in the fabric of the world, and you find yourself holding your breath, waiting. Just waiting to see what rushes in to fill it. Most of the time, for most small human lies, what rushes in is just more lies, more complications. But what if you tell a big lie, a foundational lie? What if you stand in the dark and lie to the darkness itself? What if you knock on a wall pretending to be a spirit and something knocks back? This isn't a story about ghosts. This is a story about invitations. It's about the terrifying, razor-thin line between the performance and the reality, and about the people who tried to stage a haunting for fame or for money, only to find themselves becoming the main attraction in a show they could no longer control. It's about the con artists who accidentally became contacted. It all started really in Hydesville, New York, 1848, a small, unremarkable cabin. 2 sisters, Maggie and Kate Fox. They were just kids, bored, mischievous. They figured out a trick. They could crack their toe joints, their knuckles, in just such a way that it made a rapping sound, a thump. It was a stupid, childish prank. They did it to scare their mother. Thump. What was that? Thump. It's a spirit, Mother. And the con exploded. It didn't just work. It ignited the entire Western world. They became sensations. They were the architects of a new religion, spiritualism. They were proving life after death. But here's the thing. The lie got away from them. They spent their lives on stage in darkened parlours, knocking. They were prisoners of their own stupid, childish prank. And as they got older, other things, started to happen around them. Things they couldn't explain. They'd confessed late in life that it was all a fraud. But by then, it didn't matter. They had opened a door. They had told the entire world, the dark is empty, and we can make it talk. And the darkness, it seemed, listened, learned the trick, and said, "Oh, can you? How interesting. Let me try." Now, fast forward, jump the Atlantic. It's 1977. We're in Enfield, North London. And this isn't a quaint wooden cabin in upstate New York. This is a council flat. It's damp. It smells of boiled cabbage, cheap tea, and that specific grey malaise of 1970s British poverty. There's no dark, romantic forest. There are just other council flats, identical and bleak. This is the home of the Hodgson family. Peggy, the mother, a single woman struggling to raise 4 kids. And the kids are kids, loud, energetic, a bit wild. The house is small, cramped. The air is thick with that tense, crackling energy of a family missing a piece. The father had just left. It's a tinderbox of adolescent anxiety, prepubescent frustration, and a mother's sheer, bone-deep exhaustion. It's the perfect stage. And one night in August, it begins. Janet, 11 years old, and her brother Pete complain that their beds are wobbling, just shaking. Peggy tells them to shut up and go to sleep. Stop mucking about. But it doesn't stop. The next night, a heavy chest of drawers, the kind of cheap solid wood furniture that weighs a ton, scrapes. It scrapes across the floor of the girl's bedroom, blocking the door. Peggy tries to push it back. It won't budge. It's as if someone is holding it from the other side. She's terrified. She runs next door, gets the neighbour, Vic. Vic, a big burly man, comes in, sees the chest and hears knocking. Tock, tock, tock. Knocking coming from inside the walls. Coming from all the walls, from the floor, from the ceiling. Vic, a man who is not given to fantasy, is so terrified he calls the police. A policewoman, a WPC named Carolyn Heaps, arrives. And this is the moment the world changes. Because she, a sober, uniformed officer of the law, sees it. She sees a living room chair lift about half an inch and slide across the floor all on its own. She later signs an affidavit. She checks for wires, for strings, for anything. She finds nothing. And then she does the most sensible and most terrifying thing. She tells the family, "This is not a police matter," and she leaves. This is when the fraud begins. Huckle. Almost immediately, the Daily Mirror gets wind of it. The haunting of Enfield. It's a sensation, and the family, especially the two girls, Janet and Margaret, are suddenly special. They're not just a poor family in a damp flat. They are the haunted family. They're on the news, and the pressure to perform is immense. When the reporters show up, and the knocking coincidentally stops, well, you've got to give them a show, haven't you? So the girls start helping. They're caught repeatedly faking things. They're seen throwing marbles. They're seen bending spoons. They hide a tape recorder in their room to make ghostly sounds. Janet, the star of the show, is caught banging a broom on the ceiling and then innocently claiming, "It wasn't me, it was the ghost." The con is obvious. It's clumsy. It's childish. Case closed, right? A sad, desperate family trying to get a better house, or just attention. And then he arrives. Maurice Grosse, a man from the Society for Psychical Research, the SPR. He's not a journalist, he's a believer. But he's a believer with a wound. He is a man in deep, profound mourning. His own daughter, his beloved child, had died just a year earlier in a motorcycle crash. Her name was Janet. And here he is, walking into this chaotic, damp council flat to investigate a haunting that just happens to be centered on an 11-year-old girl also named Janet. You couldn't write it. He wants to find something. He is begging the universe for proof that something, anything, continues. And the girls, they know it. They perform for him. They throw things. They make noises. They try so hard to give this grieving man the ghost he so desperately wants. But something else arrives with Grosse. Or maybe it was just waiting for him. Because the con, the clumsy, childish fraud, it starts to fade. And something else, something professional, takes over. The voice starts. This is the part that still chills me. It's not a little girl's woo noise. It's a deep, guttural male voice. It sounds like 1,000 cigarettes, like gravel. And it's coming from Janet. It's coming from her, but it is not her. Skeptics, of course, scoff. Oh, it's laryngeal trickery. She's faking it. Okay, fine. Let's say she is. Let's say this 11-year-old girl is so gifted she can produce this monstrous voice for hours on end without shredding her vocal cords, all while doctors are in the room checking her. And the voice, it has a name. It says, "I am Bill Wilkins, and I died in this chair." The investigators, Grosse and his colleague Guy Liam Playfair, they think it's just part of the act, but they check. They have to check. They track down the previous tenant's son, and the son confirms it. Yes, his father, Bill Wilkins, did live in that flat, and he did die. He had a brain hemorrhage, sitting in his favourite armchair, in the corner of the living room. The fraud collided with the fact, and the fact won. Suddenly the girls weren't the ones in control. The game was over. The investigators, Grosse and Playfair, they knew the girls were faking. They filmed them faking. They caught Janet red-handed trying to bend a spoon, and they confronted her. "We saw you, Janet." And Janet just smiled. And at that exact moment, from the other side of the room, a Lego brick flew across the room and hit Playfair hard in the face. They were the only two people in the room. The girls were downstairs. The thing in the house was now angry. It was as if it was insulted that they'd focused on the amateurs instead of the star. The activity exploded, and it wasn't playful anymore. It wasn't marbles and knocking. It was violence. The famous pictures. We've all seen them. Janet, seemingly levitating, being thrown from her bed. The skeptics have a field day. She's just jumping. It's just a well-timed photo of a girl jumping in her pajamas. And, you know what? They're probably right. She is jumping. But look at her face. Look at the expression in that photo. It's not the face of a girl playing a game. It's a mask of agony, of ecstasy. It's wrong. And what about the other things? The things the camera didn't catch? The fireplace grate, made of Victorian cast iron, being ripped from the wall. The family being dragged, kicking and screaming from their beds by an invisible force. The cold. The piles of matches that would spontaneously combust. The investigators, knowing the girls were frauds, stayed. They stayed because they were watching the fraud be eclipsed by a horrifying reality. They were watching the lie get eaten by the truth. So, what the hell was it? This is where we get into my opinion, and it's not a popular one. We hate ambiguity. We want Enfield to be 100% fake, a sad story of a girl who needed attention. Or we want it to be 100% real, proof of the afterlife, a battle between good and evil. But the truth, the terrifying truth, is that it was both. And the fraud wasn't a contradiction to the haunting. The fraud was the invitation. The fraud was the fuel. Think of it like this. The Hodgson family, in their desperation and their boredom, started a lie. They started performing the ritual of a haunting. They knocked. They threw things. They screamed. They were acting out the script of a poltergeist, and they did it with so much adolescent energy, so much need, that they basically sent up a cosmic flare. They put a classified ad in the spiritual paper. Stage available. Haunting required. Amateurs welcome. And something answered. Something that was not Bill Wilkins. Bill Wilkins was just a mask it wore. Bill was the easy answer. The thing that came, it was older, it was smarter, and it loved the game. It saw what the girls were doing and it loved it. It fed on the chaotic energy. It fed on the fear of the investigators. It fed on the media. It's my controversial opinion that the entity encouraged the girls to fake things. Why? Because it blurred the lines. It gave the skeptics something to bite. It confused the investigators. It created chaos. While everyone was arguing about whether Janet bent a spoon, the thing itself was ripping a fireplace out of the wall. The fraud was its camouflage. The lie was its oxygen. It was a symbiotic relationship. The girls were the bait, and the entity was the shark. And look at the other case, the Fox sisters. They confessed. They stood on a stage in New York and showed everyone how they did it. They cracked their toes. It was a lie. All of it. And what happened? The believers, the ones who had built a church around them, they turned on them. They destroyed them. Maggie and Kate died penniless, alcoholic, and alone. They were ruined by the lie, and then they were destroyed by the truth. It's the ultimate cosmic trap. You tell the lie and you're caught. You tell the truth and you're punished. The one thing you can't do is unring the bell. You can't uninvite them. The Enfield haunting, it didn't end. There was no exorcism. There was no final battle. It just faded. The media got bored. The investigators ran out of theories. The Bill voice just stopped talking. The energy was gone. The audience had left the theatre. And the family? They were just left. Left in that same damp council flat. Left with the stigma. They were those people. The frauds. The crazies. They got the fame and the attention they so desperately craved, and it shattered their lives. Peggy died, in that same house, in that same armchair that Bill Wilkins had died in. And Janet has spent her entire life running from that little girl. Her whole identity, her entire existence, defined by a lie she told when she was 11. Or was it a lie? And that's the philosophical bomb at the center of all this. We are obsessed with these stories. We are fascinated by the idea of faking it till you make it. We watch these found footage movies. We listen to these podcasts. We love to contact the dark, just for entertainment. We are, all of us, in our own small way, knocking on the wall. We are performing the ritual. We're telling the void, scare me. I'm just kidding, but scare me. We're opening that door just a crack to feel the cold air. And we are so sure that we are the ones in control. We are so certain that we can close that door any time we want. And so, we're left, not just with a story, but with the echo of a life. The echo of Janet Hodgson, a little girl who played a game. Or did the game play her? We're left with the quiet, devastating tragedy of the Fox sisters, who died broken, penniless, and alone, prisoners of the very knocking they started as a childish joke. It's the human cost that truly haunts me. The lie, it seems, is easy to start. It's the truth that's impossible to live with. It's the loneliness of it all. To be the one person who saw something, or did something, and to be trapped with that secret forever. To be the fraud, or to be the haunted. In the end, both are just so terribly alone. But maybe that's why we tell these stories. Maybe that's why we listen. We're not just looking for a thrill, we're looking for connection. We're reaching out in the dark just to know someone else is there, to know that our own strange, quiet fears, our own complex human messiness is shared. And that's what this place, Twilight Whispers, is. It's not just me talking, it's us, listening, together. So I ask you, not just for a theory, but for a feeling, did this story touch that quiet, lonely place in you? Share that feeling in the comments. Let's talk. Let's not be alone with these thoughts. If this story meant something to you, if it gave you that strange, beautiful, aching chill, like it. Not for me, but as a signal, a little light in the dark. And if you feel that this is where you belong, then subscribe. Join our circle. Ring that bell. Because the next story, it's about a man who built a tomb to his own grief, only to find he wasn't grieving alone.